I want you to imagine yourself sitting in a classroom. The teacher is writing something on the whiteboard, and you're listening attentively, trying to make this new concept make sense. You look up at the board, then back down at your notes, writing furiously and doing your best to keep up with the flow. But then it happens. You feel a buzz in your pocket. You pull out your phone, slightly, a little below the desk. The screen lights up, and you see the little notification. It's your best friend, a text message, saying, "Are you going to the party later today?" Now, you're doing some quick mental math. If I ignore it, will it become a bigger problem later? If I answer, it'll only take 10 seconds. Your reasoning leads you to tell yourself, I can multitask. A quick text won't hurt, and I should still be able to hear what's going on in class anyways. So, you reply, fast, 1 to 2 lines. But then you look up, and the teacher is already talking about something completely different. Everyone is already writing the next thing. You try to jump back in, but you get that split second feeling of, what did I miss? Was it important? Then, you feel scattered and lack motivation to continue paying attention. So, what exactly just happened? Why did you do what you did? People multitask because it adds stimulation when a task gets repetitive or boring. Switching can feel like a boost and give a feeling of excitement. In studying contexts, one observational study found that students averaged under 6 minutes of studying before switching to a tech distraction like texting or social media. Multitasking also often feels efficient because progress on two goals creates the sense that time is being used well. So the question is multitasking actually effective? That certainly depends on the task you're trying to multitask with. Consider a different situation, like talking on the phone while vacuuming your room. This is significantly easier than talking on the phone while studying. Some tasks compete for different mental resources, especially if one task is more automatic. Other combinations feel harder because they overlap with the same mental resources, like language and memory, which are limited in capacity. Texting while trying to understand what's going on in a class is hard because both tasks are language heavy and meaning heavy, so they tend to collide more than, say, walking while listening to music, for example. This sets up the key idea of how, when tasks collide, multitasking often stops becoming doing two things at once and becomes something completely different. Let me explain this in simpler terms with some cups and water. Each cup represents a task, and the water represents our brain's total cognitive capacity. You can essentially think of this as how much brain power we have, which is a finite amount. For mindless tasks like walking or vacuuming, we only require a small cognitive load, which means our brains can handle these tasks pretty easily. Now, imagine we want to talk on the phone with someone while on a walk. Talking on the phone is a more mentally demanding task. Fortunately, walking is a very simple task, so we can still handle doing these two together. But now, let's reimagine our initial situation, replying to a text while trying to understand what's going on in a class or lecture. We typically don't have enough brain power to handle both of these tasks together, so instead, our brain does something called rapid task switching. Instead of splitting the cognitive load evenly, we allocate all our resources to a single task and switch between them quickly. But this isn't as seamless as a process as you might think. Task switching research consistently shows a switching cost. When you look up from your phone, you don't resume right where you left off in class. It takes a few seconds to re-understand and refamiliarize yourself with what's going on. Then, you look back down at your phone again, and you have to refamiliarize yourself with the conversation before sending a response. So what our brain is actually doing looks more like this. It's basically just really slow. In many real-life situations, when we multitask, this rapid task switching is a more accurate representation of what's going on, as opposed to actually doing two things simultaneously. So, what's the big takeaway? Well, your attention is limited and selective, and it tends to commit fully to one demanding task at a time. When your day is full of constant interruptions, like messages, quick questions, and small tasks, your attention gets pulled into these repeated resets. You can feel busy for hours, but still feel like you didn't get far because so much effort went into restarting rather than moving forward. The reason you end up lost in class after sending a text isn't because you suddenly stopped trying to pay attention. It's because your attention had to leave and is now trying to rebuild this thread constantly. Knowing when two tasks can fit together smoothly and when one deserves your full attention can really help you feel less scattered and move through your day more efficiently.